talking, big man?
You gonna tell him all about it.
Well, his talking ain't gonna be talking. He gonna talk how you gonna like, hold on, man, you crying, you talking.
We live now.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. How are you guys doing? Welcome to this week's edition of Let's Talk. Jemiah, if you do me a favor, bring me my other cell phone on that table because this one is not pulling up. I don't know why. Thank you. But anyway, it's been a couple of weeks since we've been here, so I'm so glad that we're back this week. And this week we're talking about handling encounters with law enforcement, not encounters. But as you can see, I have some guests with me, and I'm going to introduce my guests momentarily. Let me get to my right place where I'm supposed to be, y'all. Just hold on. Just hold the midget just for a second. Okay. Okay. Got so much banging going on here on this computer. It's doing too much. Okay. Okay, let me see. Y'all hold on a minute. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody has had an awesome day today. I did myself and yes, okay. But anyway, so I had an awesome day myself today, with church and family, of course.
Is that thing pressing on the power button or something?
It may be. Anyway, we're gonna change them because I don't know what they got going on. Y'all excuse me just a second. I need to be able to look at it so we can see what we got going on here. Sorry. Okay. All right, there we go. Hello, Miss Darlene Todd. How are you doing tonight? Hello, Miss Althea Thomas and Miss and everyone else who's watching. When you guys come in, as always, I'd like to tell you to tag and like the video, and then share it with a friend. Like the video, share it with a friend, and also tell me hello. Let me know you're out there with me. Let me know you're watching. Mr. Jackson, when you come in, just click the add button. And I got Jared here with us tonight. Thank you, Jared. He's operating the camera so we can get more, y'all can get a better view of all of us because, like I said, we're having a round table discussion today. And anyway, welcome to this week's edition of Let's Talk. I'm your host. I am Juju, and we're coming to you live tonight from my living room. Let's Talk is, of course, produced by my dear friend and brother, Mr. Jerry L. Jackson. And during the month of September, guys, we will focus on issues impacting young adults. These roundtable discussions will include young adults offering their opinions and perspectives on our weekly topics and how these things are impacting their lives. Tonight we have with us Den and Dan, the two fat facts. That's Jordan Dumas and Jordan Ashford. And then we got Ace. And I guess Ace gonna give us his commentary. You gonna talk to us tonight, Ace? Ace is in this in the round table with us. So anyway, all that being said, let's talk. Tonight we are going to discuss how to handle encounters with law enforcement. Hello, Jasmine. How are you doing? Thank you for joining me, Jasmine Taz. Anyway, young adults are among the most likely age group to experience law enforcement actions, such as warnings, tickets, search, or arrests, particularly during traffic stops. The rate of use of force against young adults is concerning. And it says that with over 21% of those who experience a threat or a force in their most recent police encounters, they are between the ages of 16 and 24. This highlights the serious, potentially life-threatening consequences of police contact with young adults. So tonight we're going to try to talk about these encounters and what you can do if you do happen to have an encounter with law enforcement, how to protect yourself, okay? Hello, Miss Jonina Kendra Stringer. How are you doing? Police violence, and this is one that just blew me away. It says that police violence is a leading cause of death for young men in the United States. Over the life course, about 1 in every 1,000 black men can expect to be killed by police. Y'all get that? 1 in 1,000 black men can expect to be killed by police. The risk of being killed by police peaks between the ages of 20 and 35 for men and women of all racial and ethnic groups. But of course, black women and men and American Indians and Alaskan Native men and women are significantly more likely than white women and men to be killed by police. Latino men are also more likely to be killed by police than are white men. So all of that being said, we're here tonight to kind of discuss encounters with law enforcement and how to deal, what to do, how to survive, basically, an encounter with law enforcement. Hello, Miss Jeanette Smith and Connie Smith Brooks. Thank you, Brooks Smith. Thank you, ladies, for joining. But anyway, Jared, do you see in the little red dot down there saying somebody wants to join? I don't see that Jared has joined. But anyway, we're just making sure you don't see anything. Alrighty, so our question today is, how many, first question, of you have had encounters with law enforcement? You have? You have. I have. Do either one of you want to share?
Mine was very minor. It was like speeding a little bit.
Speeding a little bit?
Yeah, so they pulled me over. But like, there was like twice, and both gave me a warning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've got pulled over more than twice, but I've only got a ticket once. But usually, when I got pulled over here, like I never got a ticket. But when I got pulled over in Centralville, I got a ticket, but I didn't say anything to the man. Like when he got to the car, I had my license and my insurance in my hand, and I was just holding it out the window. I didn't say anything to him.
Okay. Well, I have had, of course, so I'm a little older than you guys, so I've had encounters with police officers, and under some different circumstances. We ain't gonna talk about all of them, the circumstances, but anyway, most of them have been relatively positive. You know, ain't nothing positive about being stopped or whatever, having to deal with law enforcement, but the experience wasn't a traumatic or negative experience. However, I have had two where it was a little, more, I think, escalated than it had to be. First time when I was younger, I used to work, 2 jobs and everything. And I was just really a person who stayed up all the time. I didn't ever really sleep. And so I would go to the grocery store a lot of times late or in the midnight hour or in the wee hours of the morning. So, because that's when Walmart was 24 hours. So I had gone one time to the grocery store and it was like maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm coming back home from the grocery store, and I'm coming down. You all know where Frederick Road is, right? Do you know? You know what Frederick Road is?
Yes.
You do. Frederick Road is this road. I hear what that cemetery is. Okay. So I'm coming from Walmart, and I'm passing by the cemetery, and this was before they did all that new stuff and cut that stuff in there. So I'm passing by the cemetery, and I was going. The speed limit over there is 45, so I was going probably about 45. The police and I were traveling in the same direction. Okay, we were both. Like, I'm coming from Walmart. We were both traveling toward this way direction. So I passed by the police officer. I wasn't speeding. I was going the speed limit. And so I went on down the road. And at that time, I turned on Alabama Avenue. That's the little road right there. Then I turned on Long Street. Of course, the little police followed me at that time. I turned on Long Street. You know where that is. Then I turned on College. Okay, I made all these turns, went all down these roads. And then I stopped, and then at the top of the hill by what Granddavid House used to be, the police put on his lights. So, of course, right there in that corner is real dark in that curve. So I didn't stop, and of course the house is right down the hill. So I did put on brakes to acknowledge that I saw him behind me. And you have a right to get to a safe place if a police is trying to stop you. So a place that you feel safe. And so I put on brakes, acknowledged I see you behind me. Then I came on and pulled over in the driveway. And then the guy, and I get out the car and I'm like, okay, what's going on? You were speeding. No, I was not speeding. When you came past me, I said, if I was speeding, I wouldn't have gone 4 blocks. Why would you let me go 4 blocks before you turn on your lights? Okay? If I came speeding past you, you would turn on the lights right then, right? Okay, and so I was like, no, I wasn't speeding. You didn't have to turn around. You and I were both traveling in the same direction. No. Well, your tag is expired. My tag is not expired. You see the sticker on the back of my tag that's got the month on here. My tag is not expired. Well, when I looked it up in our system, it says it's expired. No, it's not expired. Well, can I see your registration for what? You see that's why you got the sticker on the back of it. That's why they put the tag on it. Well, sometimes it takes a little while to get in our system, so I just need to see. That's why they give me the sticker. You see the sticker right here? It says it's up. My tag is up today. Then when I asked him, I said, well, what is your name? Give me your name and your badge number. I said, because you're, he said, well, you didn't stop when you saw me behind you. I said, no, because we're in a dark curve. I have a right to get to a safe place. My house right down the street. Yeah, I came to my house, to my driveway where I feel more safe. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to be in a dark place stopped with a police officer or anybody else. Okay. Then when I asked for his badge number, you want me to call my supervisor? I didn't tell you to call your supervisor. I said, I don't want to be out here with a bunch of police officers in the middle of the night. I'll handle this in the morning. When I call the police chief, give me your name and your badge number. I'll call my supervisor. So he went and called the supervisor. And then when the supervisor got there, he didn't say anything to the man about speeding. He said, well, the system says her tag is expired. I saying my tag is not expired. I got my sticker right here on the piece of paper. So anyway, in all of that, I think I probably should have just been a little calmer because I was in a vulnerable. Thinking back, I was in a vulnerable situation at that time because I was outside by myself. And then little guy walked down the street and he's like, "You okay? You need me to stand here?" And I said, "I'm good." But anyway, so that was that. And then the other time it involved somebody else, so I won't say, but it was like the police officer, when they stopped the other person who was driving the car, they didn't realize how old I was because it was recently. They saw that person, a young person, so they came to the window real aggressive, trying to, it seemed like to me, trying to intimidate and everything. But when they saw me sitting on the other side of the car, that particular officer that came to the car, really aggressive, basically ran away from the car and never came back. Another officer came up to my side of the car and basically started talking to me and not the driver, which I thought was just really crazy. But anyway, I think a lot of times when they see young people, sometimes, some officers, and not all of them, but they see young people, they feel like they can be more forceful or intimidating. So, did you said you all have been stopped by police. Did you ever feel like you were being intimidated by an officer?
Yes.
You didn't? Jordan, you did? Okay, so.
Yeah, because I got, in high school, whenever you come back from like a break or something, we start school at 10 instead of 8, probably late start. So, me and two of my friends, we were going to meet up at Waffle House and have breakfast during the late start. So I forgot that, I'm in the school zone. Like, I'm thinking everybody's out of school. I'm not in school. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing the normal speed limit by Southview, which was 45, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was going like maybe like 46. Mm-hmm. And then he pulled me over. And I wasn't, mind you, there was a lot of traffic. I wasn't coming up on anybody fast or anything like that. Like, I was going with the flow of traffic. And so when he pulled me over, I just stopped, and then he wrote down the window. He was like, "What's the speed limit?" And I was like, 45, because I'm still not realizing the school zone. And then he was like, "In a school zone?" And I was like, "Oh." And then he was like, "Yeah." And then he asked me something else, and then I said, like, "Yes," or something. And like, he made his face at me like he wanted me to say, "Yes, sir." So we was just staring at each other, like, because he was waiting on me to say, "Yes, sir," but I didn't say it. And so then after that, he gave me a warning, like he printed it out. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
with when I was coming in, it was on South College, and I was getting off of work in Texas, and I was on my way home. Mm-hmm. And then I got stopped. But he was like asking questions about me, and then he was like, I was like, I don't know how we got on this, but I was a college student. And then, no, he asked me, because it's a college town. Mm-hmm. But I guess that's why he asked me. I was like, "Yeah, I'm in college." Because he also asked me how old I was. So I was answering those questions. And then he was like, "Well, I don't want to write you a ticket because I know school is expensive and stuff like that." So yeah, he just let me go because I was a college student.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, that's good. And most of the time, and so we want to remember that too, and preface that most officers, like most people, are really good. They're trying to do their job. Their job is to serve and protect. And so we want to make sure that we say this is not all officers, but when you have a statistic that says 1 in 1,000 black men will be killed by police officers, that's something that has to be addressed, something that you have to deal with and be mindful of. Okay, and not that we're trying to paint everybody in the same light, because everybody's not the same, but it is something that we have to make sure that we are very mindful of. So I was asking how would you describe your encounters, and both of your encounters were good. Your encounter was a little shaky and
Yeah, I'm not
something. Okay. And like I said, most of the encounters I've had with police officers, like I said, I've had, for different things, have been good. Some police officers have treated me very nicely, have gone out of their way to treat me nice. I had an accident, and I was at fault. I backed into this guy at the gas station, and I couldn't find my insurance. And the man's like, "Ma'am, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I can pull it up." And I'm just I couldn't find the insurance. I couldn't find nothing. He's like, "That's all right. Don't worry about it, ma'am. It's okay. It's okay." Because I'm just like, "Oh Lord, I done hit this man's car. I can't find the insurance car. I can't do anything." But most of the encounters have been very good. But that one, it doesn't take but one bad one. To be fatal or to be deadly. Okay. So, how do you guys feel? Because now we see on the news and in different places where they have all this militarization of the police officers. You have ICE agents with their face covered up and their mask, and you even have some FBI agents and stuff arresting people. They don't have on any identification. They have their face covered, so you can't see them, you can't identify them. And then in some certain cities and states, we see where they are calling in the National Guard and even some of the active duty military. How do you guys feel about the militarization of the law enforcement?
I think it's alarming and it's like scary. Because it's like, okay, so when you see police, a lot of times, especially like knowing things such as the statistics, it already has a bad taste in your mouth. Then when you see someone put up like that, it kind of feels like, I don't know who you are. Like, I don't know that you're law enforcement. This feels like I'm being mugged. And then that's just like, it's going to make you more likely to retaliate. And then you get killed because, or you get more charges at the very least.
Resistance.
Battery on the officer and all that. So yeah, I just don't think it's fair.
What about you, Jordan?
I feel like it's very aggressive. And like with them not identifying themselves, I feel like that comes off as, oh, I don't have to because of who I am. Like it's kind of like them abusing their power because they always want us to identify ourselves, but not really the same. And it's like the way that like if you're coming off to someone with that much aggression, you don't know what they can put someone's mindset in, or like what someone's trauma is and how they'll react to it. And I just feel like it just makes the whole situation worse.
Okay. And I have to agree with you guys. I really don't like the part of the people covering up their faces because it feels like to me, I'm a public servant, okay? And as a public servant, it is my job to serve my community. It is my job to make my clients and the people I deal with feel comfortable. It's not their job to make me feel comfortable. It's my job to offer them the utmost respect, okay? I'm getting paid to do a job, so if they respect me or disrespect me or whatever, it's not you got to respect me because I got this position. No, I'm working for you as a public servant. You're paying my salary, okay? I'm paid through tax money, so I should be the one who am the trained professional. I should be the one that's going out trying to make sure that every encounter is a positive one. And then when I see the mask and things, it reminds me It just takes me to Ku Klux Klan. That's what it takes me to. Because if you're doing right, if you're doing the right thing, you're following the laws, you're doing your job, why do you have to hide behind a mask? Okay? If I'm doing my job, if I'm not breaking any laws, I'm treating people the way I'm supposed to be treated, why should I have on a mask? Why should I have to cover my face? Why won't I identify myself? I couldn't just walk up in somebody's house and say, well, I don't do that anyway. I'm taking your kids and I go out there and I don't identify myself, but that's not what I do. But anyway, if I were in protective service and I did that kind of work, you couldn't do that. You'd be kidnapping somebody's children. So when you see the officers taking the people off the streets, especially the ICE agents, and they get the students who are here legally, and they have all their student visas and everything, they have that stuff intact, but they're taking the people, and then you want to know, hey, they're not going to come get you, baby. They not, Juju wouldn't let nobody come in here and get you, okay? So you can stop all that fussing you got going on over there. What Adrian doing to you? But anyway, so they were, but you, I have comments from Jasmine. Jasmine says, someone working for the people cannot be better than the people. Exactly. And that just like if I had someone working in my house, just say I'm paying someone to help me, and they help me clean around the house. But then they want me to say, oh, you're not respecting me, you're not doing it, you're not doing that. And I'm like, wait, I'm paying you. Did I pay you? Did I pay your check last week? Last month? You know, and that's the same thing. We have to be just mindful as public servants that and I think we forget that sometimes as public servants, that we are here to serve the people. The people are not here to serve us. And we're the ones who should be offering the people that we serve the utmost respect. And if there's a situation that needs to be de-escalated, we are the ones, we're the professionals. We should be the ones doing the de-escalating. I shouldn't be, you get loud, I'm going to get loud, everybody in here get loud. Then we never resolve an issue. On my job, I've had many a times clients get angry and upset with me. And I'm like, I'm here to work with you. I'm asking you these questions not because I need to know, I want to know personally, but I need to know these answers to these questions, or I need this verification in order to help you. We're supposed to be a team. We're supposed to be working together to make sure that you're getting the service that you need, and you have that I am serving you in the best way I possibly can. And that is the way any public servant should feel. That's the way they should feel. And that's the way they should do their job. And when a person, even if a person is upset, they should be looking to de-escalate, not to take the whole situation to a whole nother level. Sometimes you see these videos and you see like the officers come in and they take the situation to a whole nother level. People ain't even on that level, but they come up on 10. And then, of course, if you come up on 10, then that is more likely for the person you're coming up to escalate, because it's a fight or flight. It's a natural instinct to try to defend yourself. Anyway, so yeah, that is a lot of what is going on, that militarization. And it is, Jordan, I have to agree with you. For me, it's scary. I worry about you guys, and I worry about, most of you all are kind of calm and settled, but then I worry about Ace and what is the world going to be like when he gets bigger. What's the situation going to be? Are we going to do something to change this statistic for the better, or is it going to get worse? What do you all think? Do you think it'll get better, or you think it'll get worse?
I feel like it's only. I feel like it's gonna get worse.
You think it may get worse? What about you, Jordan?
I think it can go either way. Of course, depending on legislation and people, what the people do about it. Are we going to march? Are we done marching? Are we going to, what can we do? And so I think that if we figure out what works or what we can do to get more people to understand when they're voting, what exactly they're voting for, and things of that nature, then I think it can change.
Okay. So you said we can do things to make it better. What kind of things do you think we need to do to make it better? To make relationships with people in the public service and the people that service better. What kind of things can we do to make it better? What you say?
I said breaking generational curses.
Breaking generational curses. Okay. Alrighty. And so how do we break those curses? That's Jemiah over there, y'all. She's not at the round table, but I have a house full of young people with me. I'm so glad. And if any of y'all want to say anything or have a thought, y'all just go ahead and put that out there. I have a house full of young people, young adults, not young people. These are adults, young adults with me tonight. Except Ace, he's not grown quite yet. He getting there, but he's not quite grown. What kind of things can you do to breaking generational curses? Propose bills. So we need to be more active in the legislative process. Okay. I agree with you fully on that we need to be more. Hey, it's interrupting my show now. You gonna have to calm down. Bring it down a notch. But anyway, so we be more engaged in the legislative process for sure. Opelika just had an election, municipal election. How many of you in this room honestly voted? Jordan? Is Jordan the only one? No other hands up? Okay. So we cannot effect any kind of changes if we don't use the power that we have, right? Huh? Hello? Correct? Okay, just making sure. But yeah, we got to make sure. Connie Brooks says, as a mother who has a black son, I have him call me immediately if the police stop him. Yeah. I voted. Jonina said, thank you, Jonina, for voting. And Connie, I feel you on that. And then sometimes, if your son tries to call you, they're like, get off the phone, need you to talk to me and everything. But yeah, we got to get involved in the legislative process. We do. And we have to make our voices heard. And we have to do what we can legally do, make sure we're doing everything according to the law, because that's one thing you don't want them to, anyone to be able to use against you, that you're breaking the law, right? Okay, so make sure that everything you're doing is legal. Make sure that you know your rights and know what you can do legally. But we need to make our voices heard, because if we just sit back and deal with the status quo, then people think that we're okay with the status quo. or they don't care what you think because they're not going to vote anyway, so it doesn't matter what they think because if you're not going out there and voting, then they don't care. You understand? They don't care what you think if you're not going out there to vote. But yeah, so we need to get more engaged in the legislative process. What else? What else can we do? Any of y'all ever considered politics? No? You don't want to be a politician. What about investing in your community? Investing in the people in your community. And you don't have to be a part of the political process to do that. To invest in them, encourage them to get their education, encourage them to resist the temptation to make maybe fast money, encourage them to go to school, get a good job, make sure they are not dependent on someone else to provide for them, you know, and if someone is in need, helping them to navigate all the different obstacles sometimes that are in our way for getting the help that we may need. Jonina Kinder says that the municipal affects our communities. Yes, it really does. But we cannot get in the mindset of not voting because every time we stay at home, guys, we end up with something like we got now. In 2016, we stayed at home and we ended up with what? Donald Trump. In 2024, we stayed at home and guess what happened? He came back. Like Michael Myers. Is Michael Myers? Which one always come back? Jason, Michael Myers, all this. But then they just keep on coming back. You think you get away from them and they just keep coming back. So, but if we don't vote and we don't exercise our rights to vote, then like I said, people don't feel like they have to do anything that you want them to do. And then also whatever happens, you just have to accept that and you end up in a bad place a lot of times. Jasmine said a lot of times people feel like their voice will not be heard. Be your own one because you're one person, but your voice matters. You can't complete a puzzle when even one piece is missing. That is so. Clock it. Okay, they say clock it, Jasmine. But that is so true, and I want to thank Jasmine because Jasmine even inspired me. I had never been out to a protest until Jasmine was like, "Come on, we're gonna go be a part of this No Kings protest." I said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go out here and be a part of it." No Kings protest. I was excited about the protest, and I enjoyed the protest. It did make you feel like you were doing something, and so yeah, I thank Jasmine for that.
Another J.
She is another J. And also the other boycotts and things of that nature that we do. But anyway, alrighty, so whose responsibility is it to make sure that law enforcement and citizen encounters are peaceful?
It's like all parties. Like if you're just talking about the encounter of us and the law enforcement, I feel like it's all
both parties.
Because I feel like it is certain cases where we can sometimes be adverse just because of the statistic we already know. And so like when we get pulled over, you already got this mindset of this probably could go wrong. Some people just have that like attitude with them already or just be on edge already. And we can sometimes be adverse in the situation. I've seen those situations too.
I think that both parties should try to make sure it's a peaceful encounter, but I feel like the main weight of the responsibility should be on law enforcement because, I mean, you're here to enforce the law, you're here to keep the peace. And so, a lot of times when there is a police encounter, you know, you might have got pulled over, but say the police were called. You're called to de-escalate the situation. You're called because something is wrong. And so, and then even in getting pulled over, when you don't obey traffic laws, you put people in danger. So you're already not doing your part in keeping peace already. And so that's what the officer, I feel like, should be able to use.
The officers are the professionals, so the main onus does lie on them. However, I do think we can do things to escalate, and we can do things to de-escalate. Because when you're wrong, okay? Like Jordan said, if I know I'm speeding, like I've been going down the highway speeding, and police pulled me over, and he's like, do you know how fast you're going? Yeah, I'm 85. I can't say that. And like I told him, I said, well, I can't say nothing because I know I was speeding. I mean, you know, I know I was speeding. So, yeah, you got me dead to rights. So I can't say anything. And then he's like, well, where are you going? You know, because I'm like, I'm speeding. I ain't gonna say, why you pull me over? Because I know why you pulled me over, because I was speeding. You see what you got. Okay, and then where are you going? Oh, I'm headed to a conference in Birmingham. Oh, okay. Oh, you work with the state? Yes, I do. Oh, okay, then, well, just make sure you be careful about the speed limit and be safe, and so you can make it safely to your conference, and that's it. In that encounter, I could have said like, "Why you stopping me?" Or I don't know, I wasn't speeding, but that would have been a lie because I know I was speeding. I know I did what you said I did. Okay, so you know, I think both can contribute to it. What about you guys out there that's watching? Who do you think is responsible for keeping the peace when you have citizens and police officers have encounters? But anyway, alrighty, and then we want to make sure that we and our kids and our young adults and our black men and women, especially the young ones, like it says between 24 and 35, those are the ones that are being killed more frequently by police officers in these police encounters. We want to make sure that they stay safe. So some things that we can do to stay safe when we encounter police officers. First of all, remain level-headed. Okay, so make sure that you just stay calm. Don't get too excited. Don't get too nervous. And I know it's anytime you're stopped by police, there's a little nerve going on with you, or if you're encountering police, you get a little nervous. But you know, try to remain calm and remain level-headed. And if you're being stopped, and if you're in your vehicle, keep your hands, but even if you're not in a vehicle, keep your hands in view at all times. Make sure they see your hands, make sure your hands are empty unless they're asking you to give them something, okay? Because
then even with that, they don't know where you're reaching to get whatever they're asking for. Like, hey, my wallet is right here. Is it okay if I go right here to get it? So they won't mistake it for you grabbing something else.
So make sure that you keep your hands visible at all times. There's nothing in your hands that they can mistake for a weapon or anything, because policing is a dangerous job. It can be a very dangerous job, and although we like to think that that police officers out there, they are fearless and a lot of them are afraid. and they walk up on a car or walk up on a person or walk up on a situation and they don't know what the person they're walking up on is capable of, really. And so the worst thing you can encounter is a afraid person. Because ain't no telling what a person that's scared to do. Okay? So be mindful of that. Remember your rights. And we were talking about as citizens, we do have rights, civil rights that we have when we are dealing with police officers. And so remember your rights. And when I say remember your rights, sometimes you have to, in that moment, not press for your rights. Sometimes you just have to clock that in a mental note and like, I deal with that on Monday, I just need to survive, or I deal with that tomorrow, I deal with that when I get away from there, I call the police or call the mayor or whatever, the chief or call the mayor or whatever. But do still remember that you do have rights. And what Jordan, let's go over a couple of those rights that we have. Or the basis for the rights. We'll just say that in general. Some of these amendments to the civil rights.
The Fourth Amendment is it protects people from unreasonable searches and seizures without a warrant. This includes having their person, their homes, and items within their homes searched and taken by police or other officials. As a result, if the police suspect that a person has taken part in or is perpetrating a crime, they must first legally obtain a warrant. The warrant must be granted by a judge before they can enter the suspect's property in search of evidence. This amendment has both a positive and negative impact on the law. For citizens, it is positive in that it protects their privacy and prevents police from arbitrary searching through and taking property. When it comes to the perspective of law enforcement, it can be a negative in that it gives some criminals the opportunity to remove or destroy evidence before a warrant can be obtained. But also, if you're like in your car and your car smells like marijuana or something, or like alcohol, then in that case they can search
They have
your vehicle.
a reasonable cause. They have a reasonable cause for searches and seizures, but make sure that you're understanding that. And the Fifth Amendment states that a person cannot be prosecuted or punished without being given due process. We've been hearing the due process a lot lately, haven't we? They've been talking about due process a lot with people who may be in the country illegally, and them ICE rounding them up and putting them on planes and sending them away. So, and due process is also a person's legal rights under the law, which includes being served a notice, have a right to be heard and defend yourself in the court of law, and also a right not to self-incriminate. You have a right to be silent. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to answer questions. You can tell an officer, I'm going to exercise my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. I need to have my attorney present before I make any kind of statements, any kind of comments, anything like that. Just make sure that all of this interaction is done with a level head. Okay? And the Sixth Amendment you have a right to, if you have to go to trial, you can have a judge or you can have a jury of your peers. You have that right as a Sixth Amendment. And the Eighth Amendment is the right to a person not to have excessive bail. But under those amendments, there are different laws. Those are the amendments, but we have different laws that have been enacted or that are in effect based on these agreements. So it's always good to know your rights. But like I said, sometimes you have to just go around, answer questions, give the police officers IDs and things like that in that moment. But then you can go back later and say, okay, I feel like my Fourth Amendment right was violated, or my Fifth Amendment right was violated, or a Sixth Amendment right was violated. And so you can deal with that. But the first thing you need to do is make sure you survive. So be as compliant as you possibly can. You have a right to know why you're being stopped. Okay, if a police officer stops you, you're being pulled over, why are you stopping me? Or you got a bust a tail light, or you're speeding, or you're not speeding. And sometimes you are speeding. And if you are speeding, then you know you're speeding. So, but anyway, why you have a right to know what's going on. And you can, remember, you can refuse most searches, but what we want to do is survive these encounters. So, like they say, can we search your car? Why? If there's they say, you know, it's different to say, well, we smell marijuana or we smell alcohol, but I just want to search your car. Why? Why do you need to search my car? Or we're all in the car, I need to see all of your IDs. Why? Why do you need to see all of our IDs? Okay? But anyway, and it says, do not confess any crimes. Oh, so yeah, I did it. And don't argue with an officer. Follow when dealing with the police officers. Don't argue, never argue or physically resist the officers. It is best to remain calm and say as little as possible in these interactions. If misconduct is committed by law enforcement, you can contact a civil rights attorney, or you can call the chief of police, and you can always, when you're dealing with an officer, request their supervisor to come out on site. That I need to see a supervisor. Can you call a supervisor to come out onto the scene? But make sure you don't. You try to stay as calm as possible, level-headed, and make sure that you do everything you can to survive any encounter you may have with the police officer. And if they are escalating, then the best thing you can do is get calmer. That's where you calm people. If they go up to 10, you go down, down. If they start talking loud, you start talking low. It brings things back into a perspective, and they realize, hopefully most of the time, that they're being aggressive. And this is another thing that we need to make sure that we do, is that when you see something that's happening, make sure you are at a legal distance, not interfere with what police officers are doing. But if you feel like some misconduct is taking place, video it. We know that in most of the cases where officers have been convicted, especially when it comes to hurting or killing young black men and women, it's because a video has existed. And it's not the video on the vest cam or the dash cam or the body cam, because we don't know. Sometimes that can be on, sometimes don't. Yeah. But anyway, but you can make sure that you are away. You have a right to video what they are doing. Just make sure that you don't interfere with what they're doing.
It's like the young man that got stopped because he didn't have his headlights on and it wasn't raining. Mm-hmm. And then he was recording when he realized, oh, this is going like that. And then the chief, I think it was, when he did the thing, like he did his press conference, he was like standing on it like, we're doing an internal investigation, and I want everyone to see the body cam footage because in our internal investigation it was not excessive force and da 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 and all that he was saying. And so when he showed the body cam footage, he was like, the body cam shows things that you can't see and da 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 da. But it's like the reasoning for proving them over, like everything you're doing is going to be taken back because you didn't have a reason to pull this young man over. And then he was like, because he didn't have on his headlights. The officer that pulled him over didn't have on his headlights. Neither did any of the 5 other police cars that pulled up have theirs on either. So it's like, how you gonna tell me it wasn't raining? Like, he was like, it's not raining. He was like, in this weather? And like, yeah, it was cloudy, but it wasn't raining. Like, so yeah.
So yeah, make sure. And Jasmine says, Jordy and Dan, do you think other young people who assuming know their rights would be more apt to agree with the law to avoid conflict, even if they could say no or resist legally?
I think that if a young person knows their rights, I think it really depends on their background, like how they were like raised. So like, if it's a young person that is going to be more likely to fear for their life in a police encounter, then I don't think that they would try to. I think their first objective would be to make it home. It just depends on people's like demeanor as who they are individually. But I feel like if someone is not fearing for their life, oh, they're definitely gonna argue their rights are violated. If they feel their rights are violated, they're gonna argue. They're gonna take it to 10. Especially if they know that they have resources to sue, like, cause like I know I've seen, I don't know if you know, watching body cam footage or audits and stuff that people do, that people themselves report with police encounters, and like you just see different like people coming in up with those. Like some people like, yeah, I'm gonna have your badge by the morning. Other people, they're like trying their best to comply even though the officers are on.
And we have to remember that although it's not fair, it is the fact that when young black people have encounters with police officers, their experience can be very different than if it's a older white person. And those are just the facts. I mean, we're not trying to be ugly, we're just trying to be honest. So your primary, your first goal should be to survive the encounter. Yeah, and not to prove that you're right and the officer's wrong in that point, in that moment. Your primary goal has to be to survive this encounter. So it has to be our focus and Lord, Ace could have shut this place down, but anyway. So we want to make sure that we survive. We survive the encounter. Jordan, is there anything else that you guys want to say? I know, Jordan, this topic was important to you. You wanted to discuss it. Is there anything else that you think is important for people to know about encountering, dealing with law enforcement?
I think, like you said, please take all the steps that we listed, especially the knowing your rights. And if your rights are violated, like Julie said, make it home. But after that, please report it. Report it, and if nothing happens, they don't get back to you or anything like that, report it. And also make sure you're reporting these encounters because you can file charges against these things. And I feel like once we start to do that, once more people know their rights, once more people report on rights being violated, then we can probably see a change in law enforcement as a whole, because a lot of times officers they don't like lawsuits. Like, law enforcement does not like lawsuits, and so if an officer causes a lawsuit, they will at the very least put them on leave, administrative leave. But a lot of times these officers lose their jobs depending on what it is that they do. So, yeah.
And there was a national database that had all these officers in that had lost their jobs for different things. But of course, in this administration, I think they have gotten rid of that national database. But also, the other thing I'd like to say is we're not us against them. Sometimes if we can figure out ways to partner in communities, partner with your law enforcement. When we were coming up, it was the perception and always the saying that police are your friends. And if you have a question, if you get lost, if you are in trouble, find a police officer. And it would be wonderful to get back to that, where we can honestly tell our kids that police are your friends. And so I think that is, we need to find ways for police officers and the communities to partner together. And if you know someone, then you're more likely to treat them with respect. So if the police officers know the people in the community that they're policing, then it's more likely that they're going to treat them with respect. Yeah, well, and then if the people who are being policed know the officers that are policing them, then they're more likely to trust them if they have that relationship, to trust them with whatever issues that they may have going on. So community partnering is also a thing that I think we need to focus more on, community policing, and that way you can have a better relationship with people, and encounters are less likely to go left. Alrighty then, so is there anything, Jordan, that you want to add? We said it all? We said it all!
Oh yeah, you don't tell me not to do what you do. You call the police about that snake. Because they used to not want what?
That is serving and protecting. That is supposed to protect. That is protecting. That is protecting. No, if I see another snake that I need for them to come get, I'm going to call them again. The man didn't tell me I was misusing. He just came out here and he killed the snake. And I said, don't just leave it there. Not taking off, put it in the trash can. I don't want to see it. And he did that too. But anyway, alrighty then, guys. Well, thank you, girls, ladies, for being in our roundtable discussion. And we'll have you guys back next week. The way forward, the future of Black America. What is it that you all are looking for? What is it that you all want? What are you looking for in leaders? So we're going to have that discussion next week. And then on the 21st, we're going to talk about mental health in young adults. And we're supposed to have a special guest that is going to be with us on the 21st. We're looking forward to that. And then on the 28th, young adults and financial literacy. And hopefully Mr. Troy Booth will be with us on that. Okay, Tyler, come kill the snake for me. Okay, well, all right then, Jasmine. I won't call the police. I call Tyler. All righty then. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Jordan and Jordan, for being here. Y'all gonna be back with us next week? Sure? Yeah, okay. Adrian, you gonna join us next week? We're gonna talk about what we're looking for in leadership and policies and what changes. Will you join the round table next week? Sure. Elsa said she's going to join the roundtable discussion next week. So I love to be surrounded by my yads. Y'all need to get y'all some yads. If y'all don't have any yads. If y'all don't have no yads, y'all need to get some yads. I love to be surrounded by my yads. But anyway, alrighty, and announcements real quick. Follow and share Arlene Thomas. I know I haven't been on Facebook lately a lot, but I've been so busy, had a whole lot of stuff going on. So I'm gonna try to do a little better. If you're looking for an independent Mary Kay consultant, call Joyce Thomas Benton, Duchess, and she can meet all your needs. Coming soon, the Spy Sisters Stitches and Sparkles online store. As soon as me and Joyce and Jordan can get this store, our shelves stocked, hopefully we'll have that store open before the holidays, and it will have handcrafted items from By Juju for you as well as Joyce's jewelry. This right here has already happened. Okay. And don't forget to subscribe to Juju's Dollhouse YouTube channel. Keep up with everything that's going on with By Juju for you. And then also get the latest editions of Let's Talk. If you missed anything or if you saw one and you want to go back and see it again, it's on the Dollhouse YouTube channel, so get that. Juju is a proud sponsor of Hold Up the Light, Huddle. And you guys, y'all have anything y'all want to say before we go?
Just know your rights and make it home.
Yeah,
That's
home. Okay. Alrighty, so we want to make it home. Alright, thank you all, everyone who started Night Robbery to join us tonight. Of course, I am Juju. I am that mountain moving giant slayer. I am more than a conqueror. I'm walking by faith. I'm inspiring hope, and I'm showing love all along the way. And until next time, I wish you much love, put them hearts up, and many blessings. Good night.
Dan is out.
Then and day.